Hey, what's going on, guys? Give me a second. Just getting on. Let me close this off here. Okay, there we go. That way I can see other situations here. Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, professional counselor, author, and educational consultant, and I pray everything is well with you. And it is happy to be on today. It is Friday, and I try to come on every Friday at 10:30, fill you in on what's going on, and just to connect. This is what I do. As I said before, I was kind of reshaping how I do what I do, and making sure I'm consistent with coming on. The once a week works for me right now. I am in the process of building. I'll talk about that in a second. And so I wanted to come on and again have the opportunity to be in front of you guys. And so for today, while we wait for some folks to come in, today what we're actually doing is I'm going to have an online counseling session. Now, what does that mean? It's nothing super crazy. It just means for the next couple of minutes, for as long as is necessary, I'm going to have a Q&A, mental health Q&A. And what that simply means is that I will gladly answer any questions to anybody that has them. And we'll go from there. And you are open to ask any questions that you like. You are free to, converse and just bring anything to the table. There's nothing off. There's nothing off-putting to me. So if you have a question, by all means, let me know. If you have a relationship question, personal question, anything that relates to mental health, let me know. Uh, there we go. I'm here for you today. I'm actually getting things ready. I'm getting ready to head to Pennsylvania for a bowling tournament tomorrow. Related question. There we go. Let's take. Okay. So yes, and I'm here. And if we don't have anybody here today, then I will pack it up and get myself together to get ready to get on the road. I'm not sure. I think I might. I'm not sure. I might stop off a couple places before we actually get to. I think it's Lebanon. I'm not sure. I think it's Lebanon is the area. I know it's near Hershey. I believe. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm looking forward to it. The last tournament in Maryland, I struggled, and it was tough. But I'm actually going to a bowling camp in August, and I'm going to work on my game, something that I have not done in the past. So I'm actually seeking extended professional help. I've always been a person that will ask for assistance. I've never been scared in that capacity to ask a fellow bowler or someone that I know is better than me for some help. But this is where I'm actually going to an actual camp where I'm actually going to work with a whole team for a whole week, and I'm excited because it's something different. Gets my behind out of the house. I become a kind of house hermit with this whole COVID thing. And so while we're sitting there waiting for anybody to take me up on my offer, and again, the offer is simple. I'll put it right there at the bottom of the screen. Please ask any mental health related question. Don't hesitate. Feel free to ask away. I am here for it. So if you are watching, you have a question, mental health related question, if you need some personal counseling or advice, I'm here for it. I'll be here for a couple of minutes, and I am interested in hearing from you. Because I think one of the things that we have to do when it comes to counseling, therapy, or anything along those lines, coaching, anything where you're working with somebody in a particular aspect, we have to make it normal. We have to normalize it, and we have to make it comfortable. So we need more of the individuals who provide the service, the counselors, the coaches, the therapists, all of us, to come from around the desk and make ourselves approachable, make ourselves transparent. We have to make people feel comfortable in sharing about them so we can help. And I use transparency. I did when I was in the classroom. I use transparency on a regular because I felt that was my way of allowing young adults to see that I'm just an ordinary person. Yes, I may be the teacher. Yes, I may be the leader in this classroom, but I'm not better than you. I'm just older and I got to the information first, but I am here to help. KL? And so that's one of the things that I do. My daughter making noise. Actually, I found my old iPod and I downloaded a bunch of music for her. So she is jonesing right now. She's like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, that's another thing. You can repurpose your electronics, parents. Don't toss them out. You can repurpose your electronics and give them to your kids. You don't have to give them $1,000, $2,000 stuff when you already have it in your house and they are perfectly fine with it if you set it up the right way. I think we tend to forget, yes, we want our children to have all the beautiful things in the world, but there's nothing wrong with repurposing something and teaching them how to have fun with it. So she is having a ball. She has my iPod Nano. And so I downloaded about 5 or 6 hours, 7 hours of music for her. So Kid Bop. So she is having a ball right now. And so when she's in the car and going to the hotel, she will have her tablet and she will have her iPod, and she is great. And what did it cost me? Not much. And that's another thing too. And no, I'm not cheap. I know I'm sure somebody say he just cheap. No, I'm not cheap. I'm frugal. There's a difference. I just don't like wasting money. Like, I feel if you're going to buy something, it should count for something. It should serve some type of purpose. So I'm not the person who just does random shopping and all of that type of stuff. But again, it's not about me. I am here for you. And if you're watching, thank you. I appreciate you. And again, this is an open Q&A. This is an open Q&A. So I am here to answer any questions that you have. Again, I will hang out for a good couple of minutes, 10, 15 minutes. And if I don't get anybody that wants to jump on with me today, I will move on and we will go from there, simply because I can go get dressed. But I am here. And don't be scared. Listen, don't hesitate. Take me up on my offer. This is an opportunity to get some professional assistance or even just some professional feedback in a particular area that might be troubling you. I'm here for it. I really am. So by all means, come on. I look forward to it. And again, like I said, I personally want to make counseling normal. I'll give you a little bit about myself because, as you guys know, if this is the first time that you're ever seeing me, I spent 20 plus years as an educator and dean of students in New York City school system. I'm currently living in Delaware. And once coming down here, I decided to take up counseling, which is, well, not really. Let me take that back. I had decided in New York in 2015 that I was going to take up counseling. So I went back to school to get a second master's degree. And in doing so, I knew that I was moving into a position of counseling because it's just something that I noticed or felt that people needed. Good morning, Dana. How are you, darling? And so I went back, got my second master's degree, and it took some time. And then I started a second business. My first business was publishing. I published my own books as well as helped 53, 54 authors. And I'm still helping authors with their work. But counseling is my main thing. And so this is what I wanted to do. Also, what I decided to do was connect church and mental health services. So that's something that I provide also, is I provide mental health assistance for those in the church by helping the churches create mental health ministries. Yes, that's what I do. And if you need that information, it's on the screen as well. And Dana, how are you doing this morning, darling? How's everything with you? It was great to see you last Friday. Good to have you on and seeing you knitting. But yeah, I help churches. And let me tell you what I do. I literally work with churches and get churches to provide financial assistance for their members who may need mental health services. Brother JJ, what's going on, sir? I am great. How are you, sir? And I know you may go, what? Churches actually pay? Yes, you pay your portion. You pay what you can. Not like insurance companies holding you up where sometimes the cost of the insurance is unaffordable and all the things like that. Are you working from home today? Today, I'm totally forgetting today is Friday, that it's a regular business day for most folks. I am off today. We're getting ready to head to PA, but cool. I feel you. Nothing wrong with that. I've been working from home since COVID started. And I am not going back to face-to-face counseling. Not happening. So yeah, I work. So what happens is you pay what you can. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I charge $175 a session, right? Okay, so what I do is discount that for the church. Let's say I discounted to $150 or $135. You pay what you can. So let's say you can only pay $50 a session. That's what you can afford. Okay, pay $50. Your church picks up the other amount. Your church picks up the $85. Yes, your church picks up the $85. You see me twice a month, every 2 weeks. And your church covers the balance so you can get the professional services that you need. Your church is assisting you like they're supposed to. And I, as the professional, now get to work with you. It is a win-win-win. Now, what does that mean? You win, you get the services. Church wins because they're doing the work that God put them on the earth to do, which is serve and help other people. And of course, attendance picks up because you're not going to stop going to church if your church is taking care of you. And I win, even though I discount what I do. I still win because I am serving my faith, serving members of my faith, and I'm still getting paid for what I do. And this is what I do. And I work this with the churches, and I get the churches to support because it is what we were supposed to do as Christians anyway when we have folks who are hurting. And yeah, I do run into pastors who are like, they're not hearing it. I get it. But I think what's happening now in the world, there's been a little shift, and we're now realizing how important stable mental health is with all these shootings and everything else. Also, if you've noticed, and I don't know if you've been paying attention, and Dana, Jamie, you can tell me if you've seen this, have you started to see a shift in the way folks who are connected to churches, not churches themselves, but people who are connected to churches are starting to move? Have you guys noticed that yourselves? Because I have noticed that people are now starting to understand or want more from their church. And with Creflo Dollar, I'm not a big fan, but I got to respect the fact that he came out and said I was 100% wrong about tithing. That sent shockwaves through the church because now what do pastors do? Creflo, who wrote books on tithing, made millions of dollars from tithing, came out and said it is all wrong. So I am sitting back and waiting to see how this reverberation will what this reverberation will look like through the church, because he is a mega pastor. And a mega pastor just came out and said the way he has been collecting his money is wrong. Now, what is that going to do for other mega pastors? Do they co-sign or do they throw Brother Creflo under the bus? But here's what Creflo is doing, which I always like when somebody does. He brings receipts. He has started to preach from the Bible and say, this is why it says this. Now, Bible is always up to interpretation, and I am sure folks are going to push back. But it's interesting to see, because at the end of the day, I know that churches have the funds to help people who need it. And that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to judge how they do that, what they do, because in the end, God will have that final say so. What I do is sit down and make sure that the churches take care of their parishioners who need mental health services. So if you are just joining or wherever you're watching from, this is a open counseling session, Q&A. I'm here to answer any questions. So Dana, JJ, if you have any questions, that you'd like to bring to the table, I'm here for it. I would love to be able to respond. So it's an open counseling session. Pick my brain or whatever you might need support in or whatever you might be troubled with or just curious about. By all means, fire away. And if you're watching me, I'm on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So if you're watching from any one of those 4 places, by all means, come on. Glad to have you. I can't see everybody all the time, but if you put your comments in the chat, they will come up on the screen and we'll be able to see them and share them together. So if you have any questions, come on. I'm here for a couple more minutes. Now, if the conversation picks up, I'll stay a little bit longer, but if it doesn't, I will jump off because I have to get ready and then get on the road today. But again, yeah, guys, this is one of the things. The other thing I do is I'm an educational consultant. I run a program called the Young Kings, which is it's a young adults, young men, but we did have one young lady who identifies as a young man who joined us. And it's a program designed to help young men find themselves, have support, mentor support, as well as, again, just here to offer a positive reinforcement to the good. Because right now, some of our young men are struggling, especially with what they're seeing in the world with everything that's going on. And I try to bring to the table a perspective of understanding what goes on in these streets, as well as what this looks like as a professional and, as a businessman and all those things. So I try to, the best that I can, is to offer the young men some assistance in whatever may happen. So again, this is what I do. And I'm gladly, let me see. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I saw something pop up on my screen. But yeah, and I'm here if you have any questions, because one of the things I noticed, and if, let me just say this, I noticed recently, I had one of the young ladies, I wrote it down here, and she said, how come men don't come to counseling? She asked me that question over on TikTok. She said, how come men don't come to counseling? And I said, honestly, because it's not something that's promoted as a positive thing. Often to address counseling situations or mental health needs, men consider that weakness. Shame plays a role in it. Guilt plays a role in it. And often other men don't make it comfortable for a brother to share how he's hurting. And that's another thing that I've been trying to change. Yes, I work mostly with women because women come to counseling. But the men that I do work with, here's what I've noticed. The men who have gotten to a point who realize I need assistance, when they reach out and you're able to help them, it's life-changing. Because when a brother figures it out, when a brother is comfortable enough to let the pain out, what's sitting behind that pain is just so much more that the world needs. And I know a lot of people may not believe that, but here's one of the things for me, right? And as a man of God, this is something that I lean on. And this verse right here, right? And this is one of my anchor verses, because as a crisis specialist, professional counselor, I'm still a man of God. I'm still a Christian. I'm still a person who believes in the faith, and the faith anchors what I do. But the reason why I try so hard to help other people is because of this verse right here. Carry each other's burden. Galatians 6:2. Let me give it the credit it's supposed to. Galatians 6:2. Carry each other's burden, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. And the law of Christ is to take care of your fellow man. And that's what I try to do. I made it about me for so many years that now my focus is, how do I help other people? And so much so that I honestly believe I couldn't stop doing this if I wanted to. I can't, because I just don't feel that I've had enough time to make up for all the trash that I did those first 37 years. Now, it's been a good 17 years I've been doing this, helping and having a whole new mindset and everything. But when I think of all the damage that I did, when I think of all the negative things that I was a part of, I know that there's people out there that need help. This is why when I work with men, and like I said, I don't close the door to men. Women are my target audience, because the damage to us men, it is like nuclear to the sisters that have to absorb that. and they still somehow come through all of that and do great for themselves and for our children. I just feel that they need assistance. So I focus on working with women, but I am here for working with men. So again, if you're just tuning in and watching, I'm here for a couple more minutes. This is an open Q&A today, free counseling session. If you want to take me up on my offer, please ask any questions that you have. By all means, just come on in and just drop a question in wherever you're seeing me. If you're seeing me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. So by all means, just come in, ask a question, or just introduce yourself. I would love to know who's there, who's watching, and where you're watching from. And if you are watching this after the fact, if you are watching this on replay, make sure that you put replay in the chat when you respond to me and let me know that you saw it. And I'll tell you what, ask your question if it's after the fact, if I'm no longer on, and I will still get back to you and answer your question because I will extend this Q&A simply because I love to connect with new people. And it's just something I do. And like I was just saying is, for me, this scripture here is super important because I think we have to get back to this. I think especially those who call themselves Christians. And I know that's always a touchy subject. Excuse me. I know it's always a touchy subject when you talk about the definition or what makes a Christian. And Christians will fight you. Yes, they will. But at the end of the day, to me, and again, I said to me, it means Christ-like. And anything that tells me Christ-like, that means I have to do the best that I can to not focus on being perfect, but just try to be the best that I can be and help as many people as I can help. That's what being a Christian is to me. Now, it may mean something totally different for somebody else. That's okay. But to me, it means to be Christ-like means for me to be the best Keith that I can be. And am I always the best Keith that I can be? No. That's why I need help at times too. And thank God I have people that I can turn to. And thank God that I have people that I can lean on or pour into when I am just not there. That's another reason why I cannot turn my back on people who might need my help, because I know there's times I need help. So again, if you're just joining me today, I'm on for a couple more minutes and then I'm going to shut this down. But today is a free counseling session, free Q&A. So if you have a question or you want to say good morning or you just want to pop in and tell me something, come on. I'm here. Don't be scared. And if you want, share this with somebody that you know has a question or need to talk to somebody. Come on, let me know. I am here. I'm here every Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I come on once a week. Yes, just once a week. That's my time spot because I am working on some things, building some things, and I'm correcting some things business-wise, personal-wise. I have been actually working out and it is working. And for any person of size, me like anybody else, you put work in and you kind of go, is it working? And yeah, the scale can be critical, but the scale is actually necessary. And also I've been using my, what is it called? The My Something app. I've been charting everything that I've been eating, and actually my Fitness Pal, I'm sorry. And it's actually, and it's not that I didn't know it. I taught health for like 13 years, but it's finally committing to doing it. And the funny thing is the first week, a few weeks back, when I was charting my meals, I realized I was like, whoa, that's way too much salt. And that kind of taught me to rearrange how I was choosing my food. So of course I always cook, but then I started to meal prep, something that I knew about but wasn't doing. And I got to honestly admit that looking at what 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ounces of a particular protein looks like, and then thinking of the servings that I was having before that, and looking at what a half a cup or what a half a cup, a 3/4 cup of rice looks like, or a cup of vegetables, and then packing that away and stacking that up. And now all I have to do is warm it up in the microwave. Yeah, I can't lie. And it's not that I didn't know it, and it's not that I didn't know that it worked. I just hadn't committed to it. And that's what Stephen Covey talks about in terms of a paradigm shift, is that sometimes just a small, subtle shift of your thinking can change the pathway of your life. I had to do that. And I think we all do. So again, if you're just joining me and you don't know, or this is your first time, I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, professional counselor, author, and educator. And I am not on as much as I know some would like me to be, but I'm working on some things. I'm working on building the business up behind the scenes. I'm also building some connections. I'm also working on building or networking with other Christian clinicians because I have an idea and I'm working on it. I'm not going to expose the idea just yet. I'm working out the kinks because I believe there's a way to offer the churches an even better service and the people who are connected to these churches and connect other clinicians from other places. But it's in here, and I've played with some notes and I'm working on it because I believe there's, even now, especially with like this right here, and I do almost 90% virtual. Yeah, pretty much everything virtual because, and shout out to Dana who said she was working from home. That's one is right there. I know the answer to my question is a major conundrum. What question, though? Did I miss your question? I didn't see your question. I know the answer to my question is a major. I didn't see your question. Did I miss it? I see. I'm good. I didn't see your question, darling. Can you repost your question? I did not see any question from you. You know, with online stuff, you never know. Stuff gets caught in the metaverse now, which I'm learning about that too. So I'm another thing too is I've been reading something awful. Oh my God, I've been blazing through books. Hey Veronica, how we doing? So yeah, Dana, if you can ask your question again. I said, you said you know the answer to my question is a major conundrum. I did not see any question. Now you got me. Now you piqued my curiosity. Oh, I'm just thinking. Oh, so you just let us have a peek inside your head. Okay. I'm not mad at that. But believe it or not, that's something that when I do the DISC assessment, DISK, that the personality assessment, one of the things that I hear people say on a regular basis is I tend to overthink things. And I go, okay. And when you do the DISC assessment and you can look at their personality, you can actually see that that's part of one of their personality traits. But what we look at is the other areas and figure out how we can enhance those areas so you can get to doing more than you actually think, because that's how you can get some things done. And there's actually animals connected to each of the personality traits. But yeah, I do a whole assessment on that because we tend to get stuck inside our heads instead of doing certain things, and that creates a problem. So I find that in the counseling sessions, when we can actually sit down and figure out how we can get you out of the thinking but doing space, oh, we're on to something. And I can honestly say now that it's been a solid 2 years that I have been really sitting down and working with people directly in this counseling space, the thing that I have seen is that those that apply what we talk about, it actually works. Brother Jose, how we doing, brother? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great to have you here. And again, this is an open Q&A, open counseling session. So if you have any questions other than Dana asking questions inside her head, I love it. Feel free to ask a question if you want to use my professionality. Come on. You know, if you have a question that you would like me to answer or something just that you were thinking that you would like to hear from a professional counselor, as well as a professional educator and educate all the things, you know what I do. So if you have a publishing question, an educational question, a relationship question, whatever, fire away. I'm here for it. And I enjoy it. You know, they say find work that you enjoy, right? And if you do, you'll never work a day in your life. First of all, whoever said that is lying. You're going to work. But here's what I found. It makes the work more enjoyable when you really enjoy what you do. And it was the same way with teaching. A lot of other people complained about teaching. I didn't. I loved to teach. And yeah, there were days I just didn't feel like coming into the building. But once I got there, the kids always invigorated me. Always, because it was just seeing their excitement, and you can't pay for that. You know, hearing the Mr. B's as I'm getting out my car, even having some kids run over to my car as I'm parking. They can't wait for me to get out the car. You can't buy that. And let me tell you another blessing is that both of my sons up in New York, two of my sons, excuse me, are actually working with children in the New York City school system. I love that. And it's and then when I saw my son post that, a kid said, Mr. Elijah, you're one of the best in the building. Oh my God, that was so outstanding, because here's my son doing what his father did, but having the effect on someone else's child. I love that. I'm thinking I'm also constructing plan. Oh yeah, Dana, listen, I know, Dana, listen, you're a mad scientist behind the scenes. They just don't know that. But yeah, we have to, Dana, because we have to sometimes repurpose ourselves. We have to change directions. COVID made us all pivot. So we all have to construct new plans, and we have to create new scenarios, and we have to find ways to make ourselves comfortable and happy within whatever we're given. I think often people will look at what they have and complain about it because it's less than what they had, if that makes sense. And what I find with that is you're stuck in a temporal loop. You're looking at the past, trying to drag it to the present, which freezes you in the present, so your future is hurt. Whereas if one of the things that I do in my counseling sessions is I get folks to release things from the past. So we go back in the past. I even say we're going to go back into your past and get information, not emotion, because emotion from our past is actually what traps us. So what I do is I go back and say, okay, let's look at what we can look at. Let's grab what we can grab. Now, what can we do with this right now so you can go forward to a happier life? And I've had to learn that for myself. Another reason why I've taken some time to work on me was because in finding me, it is helping me allow other folks to find themselves. So I thank you for that, Dana. I appreciate that. And Veronica, I see you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. But yeah, when it comes to go back to my son working with kids, and it's funny because my son has reached out to me, said, Dad, now I understand why you really enjoy teaching. I said, well, I appreciate that, but make your pathway. And remember, and I just basically shared with him the same mentor information that was given to me when I first started. My mentor, God rest his soul, shout out to Genghis Noor, Mr. Noor. One of his sons was one of the members of the rap group X-Clan. And Mr. Noor was a musician, high-level musician, HBCU graduate, and he's played with Dizzy Gillespie and many other Black greats. And tough, big dude. And one of the things that he told me when I first walked into the building, now he loved to curse, so I'm not going to curse, but he said, you want these new effing teachers here? I said, yes, sir. He said, okay. He said, I'm going to give you some advice. If you want it? I said, sure. He said, it's going to help you stay around teaching for a long time. I was like, yes, sir. He said, one, don't F with these kids' minds. And he didn't say, yeah, I mean, he got into it. He said, don't F with these kids' minds when you work with them. And two, mean what the F you say to these kids. Do not say it to them if you don't believe it. And don't F with their minds. You do that, you'll be around these kids for a long time. And then he just rolled off. Brother had the full African garb on, even had an African walking stick. I'm not mad at that. And let me tell you something. One of the greatest men that I could have ever worked with, because he didn't give a F about the system. He was a former Black Panther. Did not know that until I got to know him. And what I realized was that when I was saying to him, now I taught what they call complementary subjects, right? I taught health, PE, and then I would fill in as a math teacher, English teacher where I was needed. But I enjoyed teaching health and PE because, and first of all, the disrespect for physical education teachers got to stop, because y'all be like, it's just PE. Nah, let me tell you something. That degree, anyway, I'm not getting into that. I just hate the physical education slander. Like I would dare you to sit in my exercise physiology class and see if you think the same way. But anyway. But I taught complementary subjects. And I remember one day I was sitting in Genghis's in the music room. We're sitting and talking and listening to some jazz. And I said, yo, Genghis, man, I think I'm gonna switch and just teach English or math, because I think I would have a greater effect on the kids. And he was like, shut the, and I was like, whoa, who you talking to? He's a foul-mouthed dude, but I love him. He's like, shut the F up. And I said, who are you talking to like that? He said, first of all, you're not going to do no dumb S like that. And I said, why, Genghis? He said, one, you and I teach complementary subjects. I said, yeah, but I can reach more kids. He said, boy, shut up. You're not even thinking. I said, okay. He said, how many classes you got right now? I said, I have my 5 I said, oh my God, I see the whole eighth grade. So I have a guy like 7 or 8 eighth grade classes that I see twice a week. He said, okay, how many PE classes you have? I said, I got the whole 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I see 2 or 3 classes at least once a week or whatever. He said, so basically you seeing the whole damn school, right? I said, yeah. He said, okay. So what you need to change for? He said, because if you switch to math or English, you're only going to see 5 classes. He said, you have an opportunity, just like I do, to affect the lives of more kids, because it is not about what the F you're teaching, stupid. It is about who you are and who you're teaching. And he said, I don't care what the effing subject is. You can present a Black man in a way that they have never experienced every time they experience you. So why the hell would you want to walk away from that and play the white man's game? I was like, whoa, I had to think about that one. And when I thought about it, he was right. And I got it. And so in my health classes, I presented, and because I could teach whatever I wanted, I could present urban kids with things that they might not have dealt with before, or I can look at the violence that they deal with in a different way. In my PE classes, I can have conversations about things that other PE teachers aren't talking about, as well as deal with my children of size, because I am a man of size. And I started to realize it, and that, from my first year, moved me into a position. Now, that was my first year in the Department of Education. I had came from working 2 years with special needs children, because I worked with autistic and emotionally disturbed students for 2 years before I came to take my position with the Board of Ed. But when I tell you, having a mentor like him, and then I had another brother Mike Bostic, shout out to Mike Bostic, who's still with us. Genghis Noor is no longer. Having 2 men of color to guide me when I first came into teaching was everything. It changed my life, because I had 2 prominent men. One went to Howard, one went to Albany State. So 2 HBCU graduates who were pouring into me, who loved our children. That's where I got it from. And that changed my life. That literally changed my life. It changed my focus on teaching. And when Genghis passed away 2001. Yeah, into my 3rd year. We had went on a, I have 2 outstanding stories with him that I love dearly. The year before he passed away, we went up to I think it's St. George or Mount George, wherever it is, upstate New York, for a band competition. And Mr. Noor runs a tight ship. Mr. Noor, he was not playing. He was a scary Black man. Short, thick, but just he had the deep voice, about as deep as mine, maybe a little less, but he bellowed when he talked. And he didn't play no games. And every now and then he cursed too, but urban kids is used to that. He would have parents shook up, let's just say it that way. So we go on the trip, and he had and the best of the best played in his band, because his band was outstanding. And he would always expose them to different things, and he only played music from people of color. So we went to this band competition. We took 1st place in 2 areas. We took 2nd place in the other 2 areas. So we're at the hotel, and he had told all the chaperones what he wasn't going to tolerate with the kids. He had already told all the kids, if you get into any BS while we're away, you're out of the band, and you will not play for graduation. He was not playing. And he told the chaperones, yes, you're here to enjoy yourself, but you're here for these kids. If I catch you goofing off or anything like that, I'll put my foot right in your ass. So the night that I was supposed to walk the floor was the night before we were supposed to leave. We had already had a great time. We got the awards, everything like that, and we got 4 plaques. And Genghis had ordered pizza and soda for everybody and all of that. So everybody's having a wonderful time. It's my time to walk the floor. Okay. So as I'm walking the floor, you're hearing the kids, doing their thing in their room, as long as they stay in their room. And I would kind of just perch myself out in the hallway. So I remember coming to one of the rooms, and I happened to lean over because it sounded like more voices in the room that should be in there. So I'm listening, and it's the guys' room, and I'm listening, and I hear girls' voices in there. And I'm trying to make the voices out because, again, remember, I teach these kids. And I'm like, I thought I knew one of the voices. So I knocked on the door. So the guy who was with me, white guy who was with me, he was the assistant music teacher. I knock on the door and I hear all this scrambling and everything else. And brothers come to the door. Yes, Mr. B, what's going on? And I said, just checking, everything good? He said, yeah, everything's good. So I came in, I'm like, okay. So when I went over to the AC, I said, why the air conditioner off? It's hot in here. He said, oh, it doesn't work. And I said, oh, okay. Well, I'll let them know at the front desk. And I kind of rubbed my hand and saw the condensation on it. So I told the other guy, come on, we're going to go. He said, what you doing? I said, come on, let's go. He said, you heard people in there. How come you ain't address it? I said, trust me, listen, let's go back out in the hallway. And he said, why? I said, the girls were in there. We know that. I said, but they got to run all the way around the building and come back through the front door. And then they got to come back around to get to their what's the name. So let's wait for them. So as we were just turning the corner to the hallway, I saw the last girl kind of glance at me, run through the door. They busted. And he said, how did you know the air conditioner wasn't working? I said, where were the girls going to sit? And girls are not going to sit in a cold air conditioner. They turned it off. The condensation let you know that it was working. I said, come on, bro. I'm a health teacher. So now I get to the door, knock on the door. The girls are just, and here's the crazy part. And that's not even the crazy part of the story. 4 of our best girls. I mean, averaging 95s and better. These are 4 honor roll students, everything. And when I knocked on the door, they opened the door, hearts beat. You could see their hearts beat through the chest. And when I closed the door, I said, now, what the hell was you doing in the room with them boys? Nothing, Mr. B. We just got bored. We was talking, and then we had called them on the phone and all that. And they going on and on and on. So I said, you know I got to tell Mr. Noah, right? Let me tell you something. Now listen to me. 2 of those girls broke down in tears that I've only seen from my daughter when she gets in trouble. Mr. Belvin, please, please don't. And I mean begging. And I said, you know I got to tell him. And I mean begging. I could have said, jump out the window. He probably would have said yes. I said, I'll think about it. He's like, please, Mr. Belvin, please don't, because Mr. Noah's going to take away everything. And I'm like, all right, no problem. So then the white guy said, what you going to do? I said, I'll take care of it, man. Just get back to the room. So up to a certain point is when we call the night shift off and it's time to go lay down. So as I'm heading back to my room, I'm thinking about it. It's about 11 o'clock. And I'm thinking, what do I do? And then it hit me. I have to tell on these girls. And I'm going to tell you why. Just because they're the best of our students, how would I feel if 2 or 3 months I find out something happened in that room and I didn't say anything? Now I have to go and knock on Mr. Noah's door. Still shakes me up when I think about it today. I knock on Mr. Noah's door. I should have called him on the phone when I replayed in my head. But I knock on his door. Mr. Noah was one of these old school black dudes whose hair was kind of slicked back to a degree. So when they sleep at night with no covering, it kind of sticks up like a rooster. So he came to the door. I guess he had just jumped out of bed, head stuck up like a rooster. And he's like, who the fuck is at my door? It's pure hood. He was Brooklyn all the way. And I see, it's Belvin, man. He said, Belvin, you better have a good goddamn reason why you at my motherfucking door, nigga. I said, yo, Genghis, man. He said, what? Come on in here. So go in the room. And this is when I first noticed that Mr. Noah wasn't as well as I thought, because his room was ice cold. And when I came in, and I like it cold, so for it to be cold to me was crazy. And I noticed that over on his counter, he had about 7 pill bottles. And so I sat down. He said, now what the fuck's going on? And I said, all right, Genghis, I don't know how to tell you this, man. I said, I caught some of the girls in one of the room with the boys. He sat up, slicked his hair back. He said, who was it? And now I had to run down 4 honor roll students. And I told them who it was. And I told them what boys was in the room. Again, they're honor roll students too. And he said, are you sure? I said, I heard the girls outside. I heard the girls in the room. I came in and checked with the boys. And when I went back in the hallway, I saw the girls running back into their room. So yes, and I spoke to them already. He said, okay. He said, get up every goddamn chaperone and get all 8 of their asses in here now. And I was like, and we did. So all the chaperones was in his room, all 8, and it's a big room, but still, you know, you got 14, 15 people in the room. And Genghis is sitting there. And when I say to you, he read those kids, the riot act, even the adults was kind of, but didn't nobody say a word. And he gave them, now that I'm older, right? Some 20, we're talking 2000, so 20 years ago, 22 years ago. I get it. And I probably would have, and I use all the same language, but then I didn't understand it. But he was giving them the business, and they're in tears. And a part of me was like, damn, bro, these are kids. Don't give it to them like that. But I shut my mouth. And then he pulled out his phone. He said, every one of you call your parents and let your parents know that you are out of this band. You will not be playing graduation. And then I want you to tell them how disappointed I am in you and tell them why. Now, all of us watching this video, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this in replay, and if you're watching me live and you're in the chat, put a 1 in the chat so I know you're still with me. No parent wants a call after 11 when their child is away on a trip. I want you to put one word up, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this on replay. Put one word up if you're a parent, what that would feel like if you got that call after 11 o'clock while your child's on a trip. One word, just one word. And one by one, and Genghis sat there, his emotion never changed. You know what? I'm not messing with you, Paul. His emotion never changed. His face never changed. Each kid crying, and you could hear their parents, and he would take the phone. And again, his demeanor never changed. He was like, I told you, and I told your parents, told your kids, whatever. And he's running through it. Now, one of the things that I love about Genghis is, yes, he's mean and he's cantankerous. He loved kids. The minute that he would get on with the parents, he would say, first, your child is okay. Nothing happened. And then he would throw me on the bus. Belvin called him. I was like, would you keep telling me? But it's okay. Letting them know I snitched. But he would say, they're okay. They're going to be okay. But they're going to have to deal with this when we get back. And he went through all 8 the same way. All boys crying, girls crying. Even 3 of the chaperones were crying. And then he kicked everybody out the room. He said, now y'all get the hell out and get some sleep, and we'll deal with this in the morning. And everybody's got their head down. A couple of the girls cut their eyes at me like, snitch. And the boys just didn't even face me. And I ain't gonna lie, inside I was feeling horrible. So as we're getting ready to, as we're all turning to walk out, not because I'm taller, I was closer to the door. He said, Belvin, hang out a second. I want to talk to you. And as everybody was going out, and I'm standing there and I'm feeling like trash. Genghis sitting on the bed can see that my body language and my face is I'm just feeling some type of way. And Genghis says, have a seat, son. And I sit down and I'm just feeling like, yo, did I really do the right thing with everything that these girls lost and guys lost? Because playing in graduation is a big thing. Getting kicked out the band with 2.5 months. They had 2 other competitions coming up. And Genghis said, let me ask you this. Why the hell did you tell on those kids? And I had to take a minute. He said, now I want to know, why the hell did you tell them? You knew what I was going to do. You knew what I am. Why'd you tell on those kids? And I had to really think deep about it. And I looked them dead in the face. I'm no sucker. I said, because it was the right thing to do, man. I would have felt horrible if one of them little girls turned up pregnant or something happens and it was on my watch. It was the right thing to do. And I'm not even sure if it was, but I just felt like it was the right thing to do. I might even be wrong. And then he stood up and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, that's why I fuck with you, pardon my language. He said, that is why I even asked you to come on this trip. And that is why you're going to be an outstanding educator. Because when faced with some that you knew was going to F these kids up, you kept it real with them. He said, that's what you effing do when you deal with somebody else's children. You do what's right no matter what. He said, yeah, they may hate me for a long time. He said, but when they get older, they're going to realize that I was right, just like you're going to realize that you were right. He said, don't ever let somebody teach you differently. That's what we do for our children. If we can't do that as Black men, then we ain't doing nothing good for them. And I've never forgotten that. And the crazy part was it don't make you feel better in the moment. It doesn't. But it makes you feel good that somebody that is a mentor to you sees it. And before I get off in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you what turned out to be the greatest compliment that I ever gotten in connection to Genghis Noor. The following year, over spring break, Genghis passed away from his 6th heart attack. And he didn't recover from this one. And when we came back over the break, you know, urban children are very difficult to deal with untimely deaths. And anybody who's ever been around urban children know that urban children are like their parents, extra. So I was down in my classroom. We had been back now about 3 days after spring break. And many of the kids that went to the funeral, all of the band kids went. And then there was a couple of white teachers who came who clearly didn't like Genghis, but was only going because they had to. And urban kids were holding him back. Nothing. Why are you here? You didn't like him. He hated you. And we had to be like, calm down. So I'm sitting down in my class when the principal called me and said, can you come up to the music room because the kids don't want to go into the room. So I come up and we got a couple of the kids outside and we had to talk to them. And I was like, yo, come on, you know, this is not what Genghis would have wanted. Take your butts back in the room. We settled that and all of that. Later that day, and they had been taking things out of Genghis's room, right? And actually, where is it? I have a pass. Hold on one second. All right, there we go. Okay. This actually right here, right? I still hold on to. This was on Genghis's desk, right? And I saved this because it's just it was a little something that he used to keep on his desk, and I used to play with it. And he used to always go, "But when you leave that damn thing alone, stop touching stuff on my desk." But people had been taking things out of his room, and his wife was coming up, and I had never met his wife. His wife was coming up to collect all the major things. We had locked all those things up. So I happened to be on the second floor, and this is Canarsie, IS 211. His wife came up, son and everybody came up, and they were collecting his stuff. And I said, you know what? I didn't get a chance to speak to her at the funeral. I said, you know what? I went over and introduced myself, and I said, hey, Mrs. Noor, my name is Keith Belvin. I just want to say, you know, your husband was a mentor to me, and he meant a lot to me. And she shook her head. She said, thank you. And I went to walk away. She said, wait a minute. Come back here, son. What's your name again? I said, Keith Belvin. She said, they call you Mr. B? I said, yes. She said, oh, okay. Genghis talked about you a lot. He liked you. He would come home and tell me about you, and he would tell me how much he was giving you the business, but he would tell me that you were going to be an outstanding teacher. And let me tell you something. The greatest compliment I ever got, because that man wouldn't be soft under any circumstances. And he never told me that himself, right? Other than when we had the situation. But the idea that a man of his stature, who I found a magazine, USA News, I think it was, had sent him a magazine. He was ranked 28 of the top 50 teachers in the country. And when I got excited about that, he said, put that goddamn magazine back in the desk. I said, this is great. You should put this up. And he said, the white man give you an award and you're supposed to tap dance. I don't care what they ain't giving me no money to help these kids. They ain't buying no music equipment. What does top 20, what does top 50 mean if I can't help these kids? Put that back in the damn desk. I said, okay, man. But let me tell you something. If you've never had a mentor that pours into you, And then if you've never found out that later that mentor actually held you in high regard, it's something that you need to find, or just please understand your life changes. And that anchored me the next 18 years, 19 actually, is that I pushed myself to be a quality educator that children would respond to. And I'd like to believe that when I left the system, I had reached that level with the children that I had worked with, the way that he had worked with that. And I just followed the lead that he taught me. And I don't know who needed to hear this story today. And I don't know why I even thought about it today. But I can tell you this, all right? Do not hesitate, especially to any brothers that's watching. Don't hesitate to reach out to talk to somebody if you need help. Don't hesitate to allow someone to pour into you, even if sometimes the way that they're pouring is not as comfortable as you may like it. It's not about comfort. It's about, is the person effectively helping you? Because in the long run, if you're better, there was something to be gained. So listen, I'm going to get ready to jump off. I want to thank Paul, Dana, Veronica, Jose, Brother Jamie, who I saw on. I want to say thank you to all of you for popping on. And if you're watching this in replay, make sure you put hashtag replay to tell me that you've seen it. Share something that you got from today. And before I close out, I want you to do this. One, I want you to like this wherever you're watching it. Make sure that you hit the like button. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. That way you'll get a notification of when I'm going on every Friday. But more importantly, I want you to share this. But hold on a second. I want you to share it like this. Share this on your page. Thank you, Dana. I appreciate you, daughter. I love you. I want you to share this on your page, but I want you to say at least one thing why they should listen to me. Tell them. Share it and say, hey, check this guy out for, and then put whatever you want. Don't make it long, because I can't reach everybody, but with your help, we can reach a lot of people. And I'll be ready if they show up. I'll be ready if they come and they say, Dana sent me, Paul sent me, Veronica sent me, Jose sent me, JJ sent me. I got them. Because what I'm building here is something that I want to be solid. I'm building something that's going to be long lasting. And I am a believer, as I have showed you before, I am a believer in what I do, because as I said before in Galatians 6:2, carrying each other's burden in this way will fulfill the law of Christ. And it has nothing to do whether you believe in the Christian faith or not. I'm just telling you, that's what I lean on, because people poured into me. And it would be wrong for me to not give that back. Now, for a lot of years, I tried to make it all about me. So I thank the Lord for allowing me to be here to give back. So I need your help. So when you share this, say one thing. If you want to say more, don't let me stop you. But let people know why they should come and check me out. I got them. And if you need help, let me just end with this. Here you go. If you need help, here's how you reach me, guys. Right? If you need to speak to me, here's the way that you set up a free call, and it's private. Use the link right there. It's my Linktree link, my name _Keith _KL _Belvin. And you'll see a discovery call link. Click that discovery call link, and you will be able to set up a free call with me. And I would love to be able to have a conversation with you, because it is about helping. And as you hear me say all the time, I believe we can fix this. It's just that's my hashtag. That's my hashtag right there. Remember. And I believe that. I believe that when you and I come together, I believe that we can fix this. As corny as that may sound, as Pollyannic as that may sound, I believe that. But I can't do it alone. That's why it says we, not I can fix this. We, because it's not about me. I'm just the person that helps you figure it out. You got to do the work. But I'll be there with you each step. All right? Guys, have a wonderful Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm getting ready to get on the road and go to this bowling tournament and see if I can do something. Going to have some fun and hang out with the family. And that's another thing, too. I've been making sure I'm spending more time with KL, because none of us know how much time that we have, especially with what's going on in the world today. But again, if you need me, reach out. I'm here. But I'm going to go do the family thing. Pray for me. Pray for my family. Pray for safe travels. And I appreciate all of you. Hey, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, guys. I'll talk to you soon. God bless.